Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about International Space Station. The reason is that this year marks the 25th years of the ISS. So we are going to discuss in details what is International Space Station and what are the role that it performs for the people on the earth, for the scientists on the earth, and what is its significance for the overall humanity. So first of all, to give you the brief context of this particular topic, basically we talk about ISS every day. For 16 times it passes over our head and it witnesses 16 sunrises, 16 sunsets at an altitude of only 430 kilometers from the Earth's surface. That is about 267 miles. It is possible actually to spot it from the ground and track where it is in the sky at any minute of the day from the Earth. But the ISS and the science that astronauts carry out on board that is something that often goes unnoticed, especially for the common man. There have been numerous scientific discoveries that has been made on the ISS where the breakthrough has been achieved, which have had a direct impact on our everyday lives on the earth, and that is why we should have a basic understanding and knowledge about the ISS. So first of all, we try to understand the brief history of this particular space station. It was November 20th year 1998 when the first module or the first component of ISS was launched. The component was called as Zarya, and this Zarya is a Russian word because the component was launched the first time by the Russia. The main use of this Zarya component, or also as it is called as Zarya control module, was to supply fuel storage and battery power for the coming ISS modules, and also to serve as a docking zone, because when the later parts of the ISS will be assembled, that time there will be need for the space vehicles to dock, and that is why Zarya serve as a docking zone for the other space vehicles as well. Then on the December 4th, 1998, the another module that is called as Unity, the Unity module, as it was launched by the United States of America, and together when the Zarya and Unity were docked together, these two modules were the start of a functioning space laboratory after a long time. It does not mean that ISS was first a space laboratory or a space what we can say space lab. Before ISS also there was a space station called as Mir. Mir again is a Russian word which means world. So that was launched by Soviet Union. However, later on it was basically it fell down or fell back to the Earth's surface, and that is when ISS was launched again. Then over the course of 42 assembly flights, the ISS became what it is today. Among the first living astronauts on the ISS were Bill Shepard of the United States of America, the astronaut from the NASA, and Roscosmos cosmonauts, that is Yuri Gitchenko and Sergei Krikalev. Apart from that, if we talk about the history of ISS, two Indian origin astronauts who were working for NASA have also been part of the ISS. Unfortunately, one of them, while returning back to the Earth, died in the explosion that is called as Discovery explosion. That was Kalpana Chawla from the Haryana, and other astronaut Sunita Williams, who also have a Indian origin. Since then, the ISS has been continuously inhabited by few astronauts either from Russia or USA, or some astronaut from European region as well. Now, if we talk about the features and dimension of this particular space station, ISS is split into various spaces where we have living quarters and the working quarters. Total 6 sleeping quarters are there for the astronauts, 2 bathrooms, a gym, as well as a 360-degree view bay window is there. So that is why you can have a full view of the Earth when ISS is traveling through the sky. The astronauts can have full view of the Earth. It measures overall, you talk about dimension, 357 feet, that is 109 meters if you measure it from end to end. And to understand this length is almost twice to the length of an average Olympic sized pool. Apart from that, if we try to compare it with these rockets, then the largest rocket of the SpaceX, that is SpaceX Starship, it is shorter by just 12 meters from the largest Starship. And overall, if we talk about the wingspan of the ISS, it's solar array wingspan. Solar array means there are a lot of solar arrays are put on the wingspan, which they basically absorb the energy from the sun, which is essential for the movement of the ISS and other processes on the ISS. So basically, it is also 109 meters. So to compare it, the largest commercial aircraft, the Airbus A380, has a wingspan of just 79.8 meters, and about 1.3 kilometers of electrical wires run through the space station because it performs a very complex task. And this is something that we can see from the image also. Now, if we talk about the ISS, then basically it is traveling around the globe, around the earth at a speed of about 8 kilometers per hour. And thus it takes almost, what you can understand, it basically revolves around the earth 16 times within the time span of 24 hours. Now the question comes that what do astronauts basically do when they are on board the International Space Station? So when they are not engaged and involved in any kind of scientific research, astronauts have to repeatedly or very frequently go out for what is referred as spacewalks, as you can see from this particular image. And while on this spacewalk, basically they do so that the new components can be added to the station, or if some faulty components are there, some problems are there, that can also be fixed. So basically it is a kind of maintenance and repair operations that are launched or that are carried out during the spacewalks. There have been many times when the astronauts have had to inspect or fix holes that were created by a space debris. Now we know that millions and millions of space debris are also revolving around the earth, and there is a very high chance that some of them, even smaller ones, if it collides with the ISS at such a great speed, it can cause damage to the hull of the ISS. So that is also something that has to be fixed by the astronauts during the spacewalk. Apart from that, since they are living in a microgravity environment, these astronauts here have to follow a strict health regimen. They have to mitigate the loss of muscle and bone mass which is caused by the microgravity, and thus due to this they also have to, and due to this reason they also have to work out specifically on a specially designed machine that includes treadmill as well for at least 2 hours a day. Apart from that, also we talk about when they are inside the ISS, they are focused mainly on the research both on their body as well as other samples as well. So they focus more and more on humans living in space. For example, on the moon or Mars, the astronauts' daily exercise is also used to improve our scientific understanding of the effects of space on our bodies. Now, the question that the astronauts are trying to answer is such as what would happen if humans lived in a microgravity for years on end. For example, we want to have a colony on the moon in the near future, and from there we try to jump, and then we send missions to Mars from there. Then obviously it is a microgravity environment, so we need to have a scientific understanding of the effect on the human body. Other question is that would our bodies will be strong enough to survive microgravity or too weak if it returns back to the earth. Now, there are many scientific discoveries that has been made on the ISS in last 25 years. Astronauts have conducted hundreds of scientific experiments on the ISS, and these experiments have led to numerous scientific breakthroughs. For example, if we talk about medical sciences, from the diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's to cancer, and even asthma and heart diseases, it's all been studied in the space. Now, what is the advantage of studying these diseases on the space is we can understand from the point that medical experiments are best done in space because the cells, human body which is made up of cells behave in microgravity more like same way they do inside the human body on the earth. But it is difficult to recreate such conditions on the earth, and that is why the study on microgravity environment is much more effective. And the discoveries, the breakthroughs that have been made on the ISS have contributed in many aspects of scientific, many aspects of science on the earth, such as it has helped a lot in drug development, in new water purification systems, in methods to mitigate muscle and bone atrophy that is related to musculoskeletal diseases, and also innovations in food production. Now the question comes that since ISS is contributing and has contributed significantly in the overall field of science, how long can we expect this space station to remain operational? Now recently, two years back, when Russia waged a war in Ukraine, the plans for the future operation of ISS were thrown into uncertainty. And it is in this regard, both the European Space Agency and the national bodies withdrew from the international collaboration with Russia, and Russia said it was also leaving the ISS to build its own space station. And also, since United States is one of the major partner of ISS, United States also is currently focused on its own space program. Not only that, it's not just the war, but also the old and new spacefaring nations want to make an independent work on the space, and these include countries such as Japan, China, UAE, India, and many other countries which also have joined recently Artemis program. Thus, we talk about the future of ISS or future of space in general. What we can say that US and Europe have said that they are committed to this particular space station at least till year 2030. But what will happen after 2030 is something that every country is planning as well. For example, NASA is almost entirely focused on its Artemis space program and plans to populate the moon in the distant future. We also have talked about Artemis space program in our earlier video. Apart from that, European Space Agency is working toward a new space station which it is calling as a star lab. So obviously what we can see from this discussion that the future of ISS certainly seems to be in danger if the collaboration is not achieved between European Space Agency, NASA and Roscosmos. That is all about this particular video. I hope you understood about the ISS and its role and significance. Thank you very much.